Welcome to Understanding League of Legends 101. I'll be your teacher today, Professor 42, and this will be a two-part class where the first part is focusing on the gameplay, and the second part will be focused on the lore. First, we should start with when League of Legends was released, then add some more dates, starting with when the game was conceived, when it was finally released, when ranked season started, and the present season. Now, that's nearly 13 years of League of Legends to get through. So to expedite that process, we'll just start with the most important parts. So first, now you, Franklin, you have no idea what's happening, and don't bother answering. I know you can't tell. So let's break it down further. First, let's focus on the top right, and go from the left side to the furthest right side. The first two numbers is the general idea of who's winning the game. If the blue is higher, that means generally you're winning. If the red is higher, you really need to do something to turn this game around. Next is your personal stats. This can be thought of as if the first number is the highest, your team will think you're a god among men. If the second number is highest, your team will think you're basically akin to like Hitler, and they want absolutely nothing to do with you, and if they want something to do with you, they're gonna berate you into the ground until you believe you're basically just dirt. And if the third number is highest, it's kind of like you're an underclassman trying to get your upperclassmen to notice you.
Notice me, senpai, notice me.
I.e., they won't even know you exist. The next number represents your socio-economic status. You can press the tab key to see if you're in the upper 5% or actually on disability pay. If you're on support, you're 100% on disability pay. The final number up here is the amount of time in-game. The higher the time, the longer you stay dead. At the start, it's like 5 to 10 seconds, and when you get late into the game, it can be as long as a full minute. That gives the enemy a lot of time to go around and take objectives like Baron or Dragon, and can even let them push for a victory at the end of the game. So do your best not to die the longer this game goes on, as the weight of your death becomes heavier and heavier proportionally. Next we have the bottom left of the screen. This is the in-game chat where you'll see 5% useful information and 95% unuseful, toxic, and unfortunate flame or negative information. Only pay attention to this sparingly, and if you can avoid it, I'd avoid it like the Brussels sprouts on your plate. The next and big part of League is These don't particularly matter, past seeing small increments and thinking, ooh, big number mean big damage. Directly to the right of these are buttons that'll let you click through various other stat pages, then simply to the right of that is the champion and skin you're using. It's a headshot. On this headshot, the bar and the number represent what level and how close you are to the next level. This tells you if you're a bigger man, horse, woman, machine, or similar than your opponent, and each level brings with it small stat changes as well. Now, this next section I'll move past for now and we'll get back into later, because this talks about the champion's kits and abilities, which I'll have to get more into when talking about specific champions. And this final section are the items. These are the biggest impactor to your stats and how much damage you do. But this is one of the most complicated sections of League of Legends. It could have its own video directly just about it, and that video would probably be pointless after about a year since they change everything constantly. So for simplicity, follow these lists and that'll do you well until you get comfortable with the game, and then you can branch out and try to learn more items and what works best on what champion. For instance, Brand has damage over time, so an item like Liandry's that does more damage over time works well with him. But someone like Veigar, which just does a lot of damage initially and its entire goal is to kill you in one shot, the damage over time burn does not matter. Now, you know how to parse the information on the screen, but how do you play and interact with this game? Well, that's really quite simple. You break it down into right click, left click, Q, W, E, R, D, F, and a lot of hotkeys 1 through 9. Okay, so it's not quite so simple, but the controls you need from the start are pretty simple. Just Q, W, E, R, and right click. Everything else you can learn after you get a hold of those 5 keys. With those controls in hand, you're now ready to learn how to lane and combat your enemies. See, League of Legends is a multiplayer game where most of the time you'll be pitted up against another live human. So you have to be ready to fight tooth and nail to kill them or be killed. I've broken it down into a flowchart to explain how this game is played. To start, simply spawn in, buy items, generally one of these 3, Doran's Blade, Doran's Ring, or Doran's Shield. Then you go to lane, kill minions for money, worry about getting ganked by the enemy jungler, kill minions, worry about the enemy laner, kill minions, but don't forget the enemy laner. Oh, and the jungler could come up whenever and kill you, but also, you need the minion money to be stronger to kill the enemies, but don't die, but you gotta get the money, but the jungler could come in, but you can't die, but you gotta kill the minions, but you gotta kill the enemy laner, but you can't die, you gotta kill the, and that's generally how you play the game. It's what I say if actually it was simple at all. Unfortunately, there are 5 different roles to play in League of Legends, each one having its own flowchart. Now you know all you need to know to start playing the game. But wait, there's more! You know how to play, what to do, but you don't even know what a champion is yet. Champions follow a few core rules. They all have Q, W, E, R, and you can press to activate. Okay, let me retry that. They follow core rules and have Q, W, E, R, actives and passives. Okay, alright, they all have kits, and most of them have a Q, a W, E, an R, and a passive, and actives, and not including the passive itself. Every champion has. Then every champion has a resource bar that tells you if they can use the ability or not. Alright, I give up. Champions are each unique, there are no rules, and nothing makes sense, and they release something like Aphelios that just ruins every rule. It's like if you come in, and then, you know, you wake up, and Pluto's a planet, and then it's not a planet, and then it's a planet again. Look, the average champion, alright, the average champion it has mana, it has Q, W, E, R, actives, and then it has a passive. And so, to show you that kind of champion, we're going to take a look at Ashe. First, Ashe's passive. It's simply her auto attacks slow the target, and the higher your crit chance, the more slow. Likewise, her crits don't deal extra damage, they deal extra slow. Her Q is an active that buffs your attack speed after you attack 4 times. Her W is a skill shot, meaning it's a spell that fires in front of you and you'll need to aim and predict where the enemy is going to be to land it. With this specific spell, it's very wide, so most of the time you won't be missing it. Her E is a long-range skill shot that will show enemies in the fog of war, and her ultimate is much like her E, however if it hits an enemy champion, it'll explode and stun them. Oh, you want to know more about the fog of war? Well, that's just if you can't see the enemy champion or ward can't see it. It's kind of like the Viet Cong.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker!
And you should treat the jungle much in the same way. You don't want to have 500 hit points and then run into the jungle like it's a foxhole. Now, you know what a champion is, but how do you pick one of them? Well, that's very simple. On my personal opinion is you should pick one that you think looks pretty cool, you think matches you, or you think it's pretty. This way you can form an attachment and garner more enjoyment from playing them, because the quickest way to pick up League of Legends is to just play the same champion until you know them inside and out. This helps you learn other champions in the game as a whole quicker than if you jump around from champion to champion. For me, a few that I feel fit me well are Lux, Jhin, and Xayah. Lux because she has a lot of skill shots, she's pretty easy, and she's just a pick that I can always go back to. Jhin because I think he has one of the most interesting and unique kits in the game, I just love to play him, and same with Xayah. Xayah, you work all around her E to pull feathers back, and these are just the champions that I can always go play. So you should focus on doing the same thing. If you think a psychopath that is obsessed with the number 4 is very cool and fits you, play a lot of Jhin. If you like a light, positive magic burst mage, play a lot of Lux. And if you like a lot of just a feather-wielding half bird, half people, Vestians, as they're called in the lore. You play Xayah. Oh, well, it looks like we're just about done with class. But the bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. So let's briefly look at the client, and I'll give you your homework, then send you on your way. The client is a simple menu that lets you interact with the game outside of playing it. You can use it to buy champions, skins to aesthetically buff your champions, add friends, or get into a game from it. You'll become very familiar with this the more you play. At the beginning, you really only need the play button, and everything else is kind of extracurricular. Besides that, let's talk about the homework. All that really is just some extra credit if you want to subscribe or like this video. And then you can also watch more videos to learn more about other topics I've covered. So I hope you enjoyed learning about how to play League, and if you're new to League, hopefully you give it a try and you enjoy the game enough to keep playing. I know I have for the last 6 or so years I've been playing this game. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.